All right. Welcome in, everyone. The temple doors are open and the cleric is in his confessional. Welcome to the confessional, everyone. My name is Alec the Cleric. I'm a Wonderlands and Borderlands content creator, YouTube editor, podcaster, and all-around funny dad who has no idea what he's doing when he plays games. But we have a lot of fun anyway. This is episode 9 of The Confessional, where we interview incredible and interesting people from all walks of life and places, and the best part about this show is that you, as a member of the community, can be involved. All you have to do is join our Discord server, !Discord, for those who are here live in the Twitch chat. Or if you're checking us out later, you can check out the link in the description on YouTube or any of your favorite podcasting sites, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, anywhere where you download amazing content, we will be there. You will also be able to check out who we have lined up for that week and submit a question through our Google Forms if you're not here live, so that way we can make sure to get to your questions. If you are interested in participating live, we do this every Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern over at twitch.tv/AlecTheCleric. So we would love to have you, and you can have your answers read to you live, right on air. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at ClericCast to see who will be coming up next week's episode, so you can stay fully up to speed on all things confessional. All right, enough of the boring intro stuff. Let's get our guest into the confessional this week. Joining me for our 9th episode is an absolutely amazing creator, and I am very excited to get a chance to talk to him. I don't get to talk to this guy nearly as often as I would like. He is an amazing streamer, content creator, family man, an all-around awesome guy. Please welcome Bad Karma. Karma, how are you doing this evening, sir?
Hello. What is up? I'm doing awesome. How have you been, man?
Been good. Been very busy. It's that time of year. You know, summer is starting to wind down and everything, but it's been good, man. It's been really good, and we're really excited to have you here. Why don't you just start off by really quick telling everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do as far as content creation goes?
Yeah, not a problem. So I am Bad Karma. Most people in the community just shorten it to Karma, and I've been streaming on Twitch for, it's like 7 or 8 years now, I think. Just got through the partner anniversary recently, and that was pretty fun. So I've been doing this for a little while now. Mostly stream looter shooters, started out in Destiny, got into Borderlands, and kind of never looked back once I got into the Borderlands community, because it's been a heck of a lot of fun over there. But, you know, I've been doing a lot of variety stuff, so when I'm not doing the looter shooter stuff, I've been playing a lot of Dead by Daylight in the past few years. Been doing started playing Divinity Original Sin 2. I don't know if you've ever gotten into that game, but oh my gosh, it's a lot of fun.
I love that game. I really love that game a lot.
That one, I quickly sunk 100 hours or so into a single playthrough. I started playing with some friends of mine, Blame Frost and Depriesticles, and it is just a ton of fun getting into those kinds of games.
That's excellent, man. Excellent. Well, why don't you take us back a little bit? So where did your whole content creation journey begin? What kind of inspired you to get started in content creation?
That's kind of funny, actually. So it was a bit of a meme. I had some friends I was playing Destiny 1 with way back in the day when the game first launched. And they were always joking around about they'd make a good play, or they'd do something good, or someone would do something really dumb. And they talk about, you know, putting it on the YouTube montage or streaming it live on Twitch and stuff. And I was like, what the heck is Twitch? What are you talking about? And they were flabbergasted that I didn't know what it was. So they showed me what it was. And this was back in like 2014 or something. And so they showed me the site, and I was like, what the heck is this? And started checking it out, started watching a little bit of Destiny stuff. Actually really started watching it for Hearthstone. I don't know if you ever played Hearthstone or not, but
I did. I was a big Hearthstone player back in the day, actually.
Yeah, I really wanted to learn the game, so I was watching a lot of people live and going through like their arena picks and why they were choosing cards over another card, and so that was pretty fun. I was watching a lot of that, and then we were doing a lot of, you know, like raids and stuff, and a lot of PvP things, and we kind of just wanted to like record funny moments. So I was like, well, I'll just do this Twitch thing. I was on my Xbox, so just streaming it from Xbox, and just to have like the past broadcast stored, started streaming it. And then a person would show up here and there, and then, all of a sudden we're streaming raids all the time and doing Trials of Osiris stuff, and got a huge raid from a really good friend of mine named Tefty Teft, who was a really big time Destiny streamer, one of the leaders in the community back in the heyday. And that kind of just catapulted to other things, and made some really good lifetime friends through that. And then about a year or so later, started noticing people playing Borderlands 2 again for some reason. It was really weird. It was around like February, March timeframe. All of a sudden, I'm seeing everyone on my following list playing Borderlands 2, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? I haven't played this game since release. Why are they playing it now? It's a really old game. And it was one of the hunts. Didn't know at the time, but I was like, sounds like a fun thing to go play again. I'll go do another playthrough. And I had a friend that was into it, and he was like, hey, you want to do some co-op stuff? I was like, yeah, sure. And then just kind of never stopped. Put about 3,000 hours straight into Borderlands 2, streaming it and doing content for it. And that's kind of where it all went.
Man,
Once I got into the Borderlands community, they didn't let go.
no, they really don't, do they? No, they get
No.
Borderlands sinks its teeth into you, and then that's it. It's all over from there. You're toast. That's amazing. That's a really awesome way to get into it, though. Like just kind of off the cuff, like recording with friends, and then it launching into something more. Because you said you've been doing this for like 7 years now, and you just had your Twitch partnership a couple. Oh gosh, when was that? A couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah. So it's the actual date is like the beginning of June timeframe, but it kind of gets really close to the Memorial Day charity marathon that I do. So I usually don't do anything about the partner anniversary until like later June, July timeframe.
Gotcha.
But yeah, the people I've met both in the Destiny community and the Borderlands community were amazing. Some of the like best people I know now, pretty much, and it just launched. It's like all of a sudden just found and tapped into this community that never would have known existed if I didn't have my goofball friends that were joking around about creating weird montages and streaming on Twitch, even though they never did that.
And that is great. I love that. So obviously now, like, I mean, you do a lot of variety streaming and stuff like that, and a lot of the stuff that you stream, you do stream some more of the competitive side of things. Uh, is there something that draws you to competitive games more so than like the I mean, obviously you still love Borderlands and you still love looter shooters and kind of cooperative gameplay and stuff, but what is it specifically about competitive games that you like, or is there something specific about competitive games that you like?
Dude, I'm just a glutton for punishment, I think. I don't know. Like, so there's um, a lot of the like bits of advice you'll hear on all the YouTube videos and the Twitch streams where people talking about how to get better at streaming, all that stuff. They're always like, just stream what you love, and then the people will show up. And like, even though there's a part of that that's true, it's like if you're having fun streaming, more than likely when people see it, they're gonna want to be there and interact with you and stay.
Mm.
But for me, I don't know. I have this weird thing where the games that are the most interesting to me have the highest skill curves. So.
Mm.
And the ones that feel the most basic and seem the most simple are the most deceiving when they have the really high skill curves. Like Dead by Daylight, super simple concept, seems really easy, but if you've ever played it for any amount of time, it has a lot of little tiny things, a lot of intangibles that you just learn over your time playing it, and you don't even feel comfortable playing the game until you have about 1,000 hours into it.
Right.
And Rocket League's another huge one. Mechanically, probably the most difficult game I've ever played, but I love it. Love playing that game. While we were just talking offline about, I play a lot of Apex Legends, and other than games like maybe Valorant and CS:GO, I feel like Apex Legends has one of the toughest skill curves to learn and master because, I mean, yeah, you've got to have good aim, and good map awareness, like most shooters, but you also have to understand how to move mechanically. Like you
Mm.
have to know the character's skills and abilities, but mechanically you got to know all the weird movement things on there too, like how to wall bounce and slide jump and do all these tap strafing things that you would never even know about unless you watched high level gameplay.
I gotcha. So for you, it's more about the challenge of mastering these systems more so than just like becoming the like cracking 90s, headshot across the map type
Oh
thing.
yeah,
It's more
dude.
about mastering the mechanics of it.
Yeah, I'm way too old to be worrying about trying to get into the top ranks of the game and stuff. Like I've long since passed the prime time of the gaming window to be one of the best in the game. So it's not so much about that. Like I'd like to be competitive and I like to be able to compete with those that I'm matching up against. So, if I've got 1,000 hours in a game and I'm going up against someone that has 2 to 3,000 hours in a game, like it would be cool to be able to compete with that. But I know like as you get older, you just lose a lot of that reaction time, a lot of that Twitch gaming skill. So you have to work twice as hard to get to the same level, kind of a thing.
Oh yeah. No, there's a reason why the top esports pros out there are not in our age bracket anymore. There's a reason
Yeah,
why they age out by mid 20s,
yeah, some of the youngest Rocket League teams, like they're having the Rocket League World Championship going on, and I think the youngest team clocked in at about like 16.8 years old average team
Oh my
roster.
god.
The oldest one, I don't know what the oldest one is, but it's probably like 19-ish years old, I think would be the oldest group. And most of the time they bring in, like, you have to be a minimum of 15 years old to play in that.
Wow.
So they'll bring in new people at 15 and swap out their 18 and 19-year-olds. Like, how crazy is that, though? To know that you only have a 3 to 4 year lifespan as a career in that esport. Other esports are a lot different. I think Apex, some of the top guys are around 24, 25, something like that.
Yeah, it is crazy to think though that your professional career could only be about 2 to 3 years long, and you're not even old enough to drink yet in the U.S. So
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
that's crazy.
By
Well,
the
we got.
time you're considered an adult, you're already washed.
Oh yeah, no, that's it. You are considered old and decrepit at that point. Good luck. Have a good career. Have a good
Yep.
career. Well, we got
Go
to.
pro, get washed, start streaming, make millions on the Twitch and YouTube content.
Oh yeah, no, they're still set for life for sure. Oh man, that's great. All right, well, we got a couple of questions from the community for you here, Carver. This one's coming from BenMe3331. He wants to know if you had a choice to live in any game universe that you have played, what one would you choose?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm a big fantasy guy. Like I love the fantasy worlds. Anything with magical, like magic powers and whatnot, give me that all day, every day. But I also like technology and the comforts that brings. So it's hard for me to decide. But I would probably like, if it was me and I were to actually choose a universe of some kind, I would probably go with a good mix of both, which is where the Final Fantasy worlds usually come in.
Ah,
So I would most likely pick one of those.
I like that. I like that answer, actually. I don't get to hear enough about Final Fantasy these days, so that's
See, I have a love-hate relationship with it because I grew up playing JRPGs all the time. As soon as games switched from, the classic like platformers of the NES and SNES games to more of the three-dimensional stuff
hmm
on like the PlayStations and whatnot. Final Fantasy 7 and 8 and 9 and the other JRPGs are what I loved playing. Anything that had a good epic storyline that was like interacting with a movie, I was so enthralled with. So I loved playing those games. And then Final Fantasy 13 came along, which I was not a fan of, and then 15 came along and I hated it. 15 bothered me because I loved it and then it just suddenly ended and it was awful. The
Yeah.
ending of that game bothered me so much. And then the MMOs, I was like, oh, an MMO of Final Fantasy, that's got to be the greatest thing of all time. And then they took the route of most MMOs where the storyline, like the adventure that you take to build your character from beginning to max level is so sluggish and just a whole bunch of filler and not a whole lot of actual storyline content.
Gotcha.
And when Final Fantasy 14 kind of did that and you're just doing fetch quests all day long, I was like, that really bothers me. So I'm hoping Final Fantasy 16 kind of redeems the series for me, but I've not had a ton of fun playing any Final Fantasy games since 12 and the 7 remake and those games.
Yeah, that is definitely a big classic piece of, I think, most of our childhoods, especially if any of us were ever interested in a JRPG and you haven't played Final Fantasy VII, what are you doing? So
It's so good.
so good. Restrife18 from the chat. They would like to know, what is your favorite Borderlands character and why?
That one's a little tough. Favorite character to play was Athena. I loved Athena from the pre-sequel. Her skill tree and gameplay style was so cool to me. Uh, but outside of that, like if you're talking NPC, it's gonna be hard to beat Handsome Jack 'cause he's hilarious.
Yeah, that is a tough one to beat.
Clay was really cool. I really liked him. So that one's a little bit hard. As far as playable character, I think I'm still gonna go with either Zane or Athena. Those are probably my two favorites.
Both excellent choices. I mean, that's cool that one of the ones that you like the most is from the pre-sequel, because that's one of the ones that kind of fell off pretty quickly. But I've always found the pre-sequel to be incredibly enjoyable if people haven't played that one yet. Pre-sequel was great.
Oh, yeah. I'm in the minority on the opinion of like best quote unquote best storyline or playthroughs in the Borderlands franchise, because I do think the pre-sequel by far has the most fun, entertaining playthrough in it.
Yeah.
I really like the Wonderlands playthrough. That one's really fun. But as far as like storyline, characters, the maps, the builds, everything, I really, really, really liked the pre-sequel a lot. I know it doesn't have like a ton of the stuff that people love doing, which is the repetitive grind and boss fighting and, you know, all that stuff that made people fall in love with Borderlands 2 and now Borderlands 3 and even to an extent Wonderlands and whatnot. But whenever people are talking about it, I'm always quick to defend and say that I think pre-sequel, in my opinion, is my favorite one to play. If I have to go and play one Borderlands game one time, that's going to be the one I'm going to choose.
That's
and every
awesome.
year I do the marathon where I go through each one of those games. The pre-sequel run is always my favorite one to go through.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's really cool. That is really cool, because the pre-sequel, it does not get enough love. I mean, I think you're right. I think it probably has the best story of any of the Lands games, and honestly, probably the second best DLC of all time with the Claptastic Voyage. So
it's Claptastic, in my opinion, is the best DLC they've ever put out.
It's so good. It's so good.
Oh, there's so many cool things in it, and just like the visuals, and like I seriously wish it got the love and support the other Borderlands games did.
Yeah. It needed a little bit of love, but it still is amazing. And if somebody here has not tried the pre-sequel yet, what are you doing? Please go try the pre-sequel. Do yourself a favor. You'll enjoy it. I promise. We got another question from the community here. This one comes from this guy. I don't know who he is. His name is Killer6. He wants to know, who is the most famous person that Karma has slept with?
Oh, so there's this one time at Guardian Con, right?
Oh.
And I went to Guardian Con. There was a whole bunch of us together. There was, me and Killer6 and Tweety and Damn It to Hell. And there's a whole bunch of people hanging out together, having a really fun time over the course of the 3 days or whatnot we were together. And I was staying at a big house. It was like a big Airbnb freaking like mansion, almost huge house. And it was there was a whole bunch of content creators in this house. It was put together and organized by Struggle Bus, who's an amazing creator. Does everything he does it for charity. Like, he doesn't take any proceeds himself from his channel. All of it goes to whatever charity he's donating to at the time. I think St. Jude's the biggest one that he contributes to. And he put this huge house together and got everyone organized. The problem was it was like a half hour away from the convention center.
Yeah.
So the last night we were there, I just brought all my stuff and put it in one of the rooms of one of my other friends. And then by the time it was time to go, I was either going to take an Uber all the way back to the house, which was a half hour away, or stay a little bit later and just bunk up with someone at the hotel. So K6 was there when we were hanging out, and I was like, hey man, you got like a spot on your floor I could hang out in? And he's just the amazing, awesome, generous person ever, and totally let me hook up with sleep with stay in his room that night.
Oh man, that story never gets old to me, ever. I know he loves telling that story too, just about every time you pop into his chat or he pops into yours, but that story never gets old.
He was very gentle. It was great.
He's a very gentle and giving person. not lover, person,
Yep.
lover, person. Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever works. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all Gucci here. So one thing that you had mentioned earlier, and this was something I was hoping to get to hear more about, is that you've done a lot of work with charities. And if anybody has spent any time watching your content or your streams, doing charity streams, and I know you'd mentioned the hunt and the other marathons and stuff that you've done for charity is something that is pretty important to you. What kind of got you started with using your platform for charity, and like kind of how did that all get rolling for you?
So, a lot of the communities that a lot of us share or that I was a part of, they made a really, really big point of giving back to whatever they could at the time. And one of the biggest movements that I was a part of from just watching and being a spectator of was the St. Jude Play Live campaign.
Mm.
And it really, really started as a platform on Twitch where St. Jude quickly learned how much of a difference gamers can make when they come together. So St. Jude started working with a lot of different organizations in gaming to, help bring together these awesome campaigns. And they were working with Guardian Con and the speed run events like Games Done Quick and everything. And so it was a really cool thing. They do a lot of really great work. I learned more and more about it as these campaigns went on. And when I was a kid, about 7 or 8 years old, I had a medical emergency that was really, really bad. And had I not been able to go to a facility, we have a children's hospital locally that is kind of similar to St. Jude, but not the same like scale by any means. But it was a facility like that pretty much saved my life. And so those kinds of organizations are very close to my heart. As well as since having kids and stuff, the thought of those kinds of things really drives a lot of empathy in my heart for the families that fall victim to that. So I think it's really, really important to, yes, help contribute and hopefully help keep them afloat and operating and everything. But for for more than that is just spreading the information, helping to give the knowledge, give the information that they are trying to put out there, and letting people know that there are options, and research is being done to help people in their darkest days. And when you hear that, when you see it, when you learn about it, it's hard not to want to open your heart as much as you can to those kinds of organizations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And especially with the history that you have in it too. I mean, I'm sure that plays a huge role in how you choose like which charities you'll work with and stuff like that. So how would you suggest then, if there's somebody out there listening right now that wants to get involved with doing more charity events or stuff like that for their platform, or just supporting you and the people that do charity streams often, how would they get involved, or what's the best way to do that?
Oh heck. I think a really good way to do it is one, get involved with the community, whether it's on Twitch, on YouTube, whatnot, and see what the community's doing. Learn about the stuff that they're into. That's a really easy way to get into it because whenever a friend of yours is into something, it's a lot easier to learn about it, to really give it your all. But as far as learning specifically about certain things, find an issue that's close to your heart and see what's going on with it. See if there's any organizations that are out there doing something for that. Tiltify is a platform that helps charity organizations do fundraisers, and all of the funds will go to those organizations. So you don't have to worry about all of the back office things that happen. And they have a lot of really good resources. It's a really good location to go and just see what kind of campaigns are available. If you're a streamer on Twitch, if you're a streamer on YouTube, you make YouTube videos, whatever, anything online, you can connect with any of those Tiltify campaigns, and it makes the fundraising efforts a heck of a lot easier to do and to manage. And they have a whole listing where you can just browse through a lot of the different campaigns that are going on.
Very cool. Well, that is Tiltify, guys. Make sure that you could check that out if you're listening later, and I will be putting links in the description of this video as well as in the description on our audio-only formats, so that way you guys can check that out and maybe find a charity to contribute with or work together with. Karma, do you have any favorite moments? Because a lot of these charity events that you do are kind of these big, very long form stream type events. Do you have any favorite moments or favorite stories from some of these one of these events that just kind of sticks out to you?
Well, I am an idiot and suckered myself into these long marathon events every year. And probably the way that came about is one of my favorites. It's a little bit different than what a lot of the charity streams will do, because you'll have a lot of those, like, if you remember way back in the day, they had those like telethons that they did on TV where people call in and certain things would happen. A lot of people do their streams kind of like that, where they have certain milestones, and if they hit the milestones, certain activities will go on, or things will happen to help incentivize people to give a little bit more.
For sure.
The way that I've put mine together is I'm doing the marathon no matter what, and I'm gonna have the charity fundraising going on as part of that, rather than kind of incentivizing certain things to do while the stream is happening. It's like, this is what's happening, and hopefully people will be willing to learn about it and contribute to it. And then, there will be like certain milestones that will happen after the stream's over. Like this year there was a BioShock incentive, or like a head shaving thing, like, depending on what the amount total was. But the way that it first came along, I made the mistake of thinking out loud while on stream. And for streamers, that might not always be the best thing to do. But I was playing through some Borderlands, and I had mentioned, oh, hey, I haven't played through Borderlands 1 since release, because I had done like one playthrough as Mordecai on release, and that was all I had played. And I was like, oh, come to think about it, I've never played Borderlands, the pre-sequel, and I've never played Tales from the Borderlands, just all these things, like, oh, there's all these Borderlands games that I've never done while I was playing Borderlands 2. I was like, I should probably play through those. And someone was like, well, you should do it soon, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, that'd be fun. Maybe I'll do make a marathon of, I'll just play through like the pre-sequel, and Tales from the Borderlands is like a kind of a marathon thing. It'll be super fun. We'll do it all in one weekend or whatever. And then someone said, hey, you should add Borderlands 1. I was like, I don't have it because I don't have it on PC. And yeah, I don't know. And they're like, I'll buy it for you and you can add it to the marathon. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I could do that. And then someone was like, you should add Borderlands 2 and just do a whole thing. I was like, yeah, that's fine. I could totally do that. And so I decided, I'll do all of the games all in one go. Just play Borderlands 1, 2, the pre-sequel, Tales from Borderlands, all in a single stream. It'll be fine. 48 hours later,
whoa,
the stream ended. The first year, because I had no knowledge of the pre-sequel at all. Didn't know anything about Tales. And Borderlands 1 I hadn't played since release, so it was years since I had gone through it. And it was before the enhanced version, so there wasn't all the quality of life options that I had. So it was like 14 and a half hours for the playthrough of Borderlands 1. And this was just main campaign stuff going through, right?
Right.
And then there was Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel and Tales and everything. It was a 48-hour stream, which I found out that Twitch does shut you off at 48 hours and 1 minute.
You're
automatically
kidding.
They will shut it off.
I did not know that.
Off. Yeah. I mean, you could probably start it right back up after that, but they'll cut you off.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was probably the favorite one, just because it was the first time I'd gone through it. It wasn't supposed to be what it ended up being, and it was a really good time.
That's amazing. It's funny how those things just kind of happen when you're thinking out loud on stream, right? That's the moral of the story is, guys, don't think out loud on stream. Or do think out loud on stream, and then you're gonna have to stream all of the Borderlands games for 48 straight hours. You know?
Yeah, everybody else is totally welcome to do it as long as I don't do it again.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I just cannot get myself into those pitfalls. That'll be great.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But I'm happy to watch everyone else do it.
Oh yeah, yeah. We've all got stories about that. That's for sure. That's for sure. So we got another question from the community here. This one comes from Captain Spaulding. They would like to know, what is it about things like theory crafting that appeals to you in games?
Oh my gosh, it's the puzzle of it. So I've found out something about myself in the last decade or so is I freaking love puzzles. Anything that is mysterious, that you can figure out, that you get context clues and put together and whatnot is so much fun. Whether it's so one of my favorite gaming activities of all time is a day one raid in Destiny. It was so much fun for me to go through. Like, it's a very difficult gaming experience. You have to be on top of your game, but you also have to learn the mechanics. You have to learn the strategies for the enemies. You got to put all that stuff together with a group of people. It's like doing an escape room. I love escape rooms.
Same.
And theory crafting for builds and everything is the same kind of thing. You have all of these different synergies, and it's not always apparent what they are. You know, there's all these passive things that happen behind the scenes. A skill does something that it doesn't say on the card. A weapon behaves in a way that you don't realize until you actually go out and use it. So you could theory craft anything on paper as much as you want, but it'll never work the way you expect because there's always something strange going on in the background. And you use those little things to make it even better, even cooler, or maybe it's something that ruins an idea that you had and you have to start all over. And just all those little things come together and you have to synergize every part of it. And it's just so much fun. It's like a little puzzle you get to put together.
It's a beautiful puzzle too, because like once that comes together, it's just like the most glorious feeling in the world, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Especially when it works better than you thought it would. Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah. That's such a great feeling. Such a great feeling. I love that. We got a question from Pascaroni from the chat. They have a follow-up question to your marathon stream, your 48 hours. What did you have to drink and eat to complete 48 hours of straight streaming?
Okay. Number one, very important. I use a standing desk, so I'm not sitting.
Oh, thank God.
And that helped like with blood flow and stuff because you'll cramp up and it's very bad. If you're sitting for that long, like it's very bad health wise. So I'm standing, I'm always constantly moving and stuff. And so that helped, one, keep me awake, but two, also to like make it so I'm not just sitting there doing nothing kind of a thing. But anyone that's doing any long form stream or anything like that, don't fall into the trap of drinking caffeine, energy drinks, crappy food, or anything like that. Like, fuel yourself with as much goodness as you can. I had nothing but straight water and like actual nutritious food during that time.
Wow.
Because I knew that it would help so much. If you get a lot of sugar, you drink a lot of caffeine, like you're fixing yourself for a crash, and it's not a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've always heard that too, because I mean, a lot of the people that do these incredibly long form stream marathons and stuff like that, like that's always the advice I hear, and that's crazy to think that it actually does work because it's so counterintuitive to everything that everybody thinks that a long form streamer does, you know, with the cans of Monster crushed around the desk and stuff like that. But
oh yeah,
totally the opposite.
So I would be doing that, you know, just tons and tons of water. So you'd have to, you know, a lot of bathroom breaks and whatnot. But so that's good to like get up, walk around and whatnot. But in between games, I would also go and do something like I would go get a change of clothes or go run around the house or get some exercise or stretch or something to like get my body moving too. Because yeah, the standing desk helped, but it wasn't enough. Like, you have to take care of yourself. You have to really, really take care of yourself when you're doing anything like that.
That's awesome. That's awesome advice. I love that. I love that. Steam Gray from the chat would like to know, what is the origin of your screen name, Bad Karma?
So it started as Bad Karma Lucky, and that happened because of paintball, actually.
Oh.
So I back in like 2007, 2008 timeframe, I had gotten into paintball quite a bit, and there was a lot of recreational stuff around my area where people would get together and go play on the weekends and whatnot. And there was a few different organizations that were starting up, and they would put together friendly tournaments and whatnot. Um, and there's a few different kinds of paintball. I don't know if you've ever like put much thought into or seen about it, but or anything.
Oh
But
yes, yep. No, I was a big speedball player back in the day.
okay,
Actually,
okay. So you know the differences. Okay.
yes.
So it was not speedball. It
Okay.
was woods ball. It was big scenario. Actually, it was scenario ball tournaments. So you'd have. We were getting into these huge games where you'd have all of these. You'd have two sides of like a massive amount of people. I think the biggest game I went and played in was probably 3,000 people. And so you'd have 1,500 people on each side, but they were all broken up into like, mini teams that the two sides would control and whatnot. So this organization I joined that was local was named the Bad Karma Paintball Team.
Oh.
And my call sign was Lucky because that was the name I love. It's actually my middle name. So I used it. I didn't get to use it in life much, so I use it in gaming all the time. So that's what I used when I was in paintball. And so I was Lucky from Bad Karma. And, the team, we were traveling all over the country playing. Like we'd do it here in Utah a lot. We do it in California a lot. All the neighboring states. The furthest we went, I think, was Michigan. We went out to Oregon a lot, Texas, and we just had a ton of fun going to all these like really big, really cool venues. And after about 4 or 5 years, like the game just got super expensive. A bunch of people on the team were having, kids and getting married, and life was happening. So we just kind of took a break and set it aside. And that's roughly the time. It was about a year before we stopped playing, and about a year later was when I started the whole Twitch thing. And I was like, yeah, I don't know, I'm just gonna keep the spirit alive and just make the screen name Bad Karma Lucky. And then when I got partnered, I was able to take the username of Bad Karma to shorten it because that's what everyone was just calling me Karma anyway.
Mhm.
And I found that when you're in person events like TwitchCon or GuardianCon or PAX or any of these events, introducing yourself as a name that has so many syllables is very obnoxious. And in loud environments, people don't get half of it anyway. And
True.
so I would just be introducing myself as Karma most of the time. So Bad Karma is just kind of a no-brainer to go to.
I love that. I love that. And I love the fact that you played paintball back in the day because that is a dying art. A dying art.
Yeah, it's very expensive.
Oh, yeah. No, it's outrageous. Especially for when, most of us probably got involved playing paintball when we were like 12 or 13 years old and then trying to save up for an actual decent paintball gun that was like few $100s and then the large tanks hoppers and everything else.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know anything about paintball, like that's the crazy thing about it. It's the low end, the low budget paintball markers are $300-$400. That's the low end. The higher end, you're paying $2,000, maybe $3,000. Like I've seen some custom pumps and different things like that are insanely priced. And then you have all of the other equipment, the vests, the pants, the shirts, the jerseys, the whatever. I mean, by the time you're done with your equipment alone, you're spending $2, $3, $4,000. And then like a case of 2,000 paintballs was like 40, $50 outside of an event. And then event prices, they marked it up to like 80.
Oh yeah,
and you're shooting 4,000-6,000 rounds in an event. It was crazy. It was so expensive.
Oh, ridiculously, but so much fun. Ridiculously expensive, but so much fun. I kind of miss playing paintball from back in the day. That's for sure. Let's see. I've got here's a question for you that I like to ask everybody. If you were an ice cream, what flavor would you be and why?
I have to go with my favorite flavor.
Okay.
My favorite flavor is Superman ice cream. Not many people have heard of it. The only place that you can actually get it is out on the East Coast, around New York, Florida. I think has it. The home of the Superman ice cream is in Michigan. So the only places I've actually seen or heard of people having it is Michigan, New York, and Florida. And it's crazy to me. But they have a mock version of it called Play-Doh, and it's not as good. Don't get it. Don't get Play-Doh. It's not good. It's bad. The Superman ice cream is the way to go. It's Blue Moon, which kind of tastes like Fruity Pebbles.
Ooh.
It's Red Pop, which is like a strawberry cream soda kind of flavor.
Ooh.
And then it's lemon ice cream all mixed together. So it's the red, blue, and the yellow swirl.
Oh my
Best ice
gosh.
cream I've ever had. And I need to go to one of those places just so I can get the ice cream.
I need to find this. I need to find this badly, and I need to taste it because that sounds
I wish
incredible.
I could order it to have it delivered because it's so good and I can't get it anywhere where I am.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. We're gonna have to find that for you then somehow. So one thing that you had mentioned earlier is that you are also a family man on top of being a streamer and content creator. How do you balance having a relationship and having kids and everything like that with being a content creator? Because I know that must be, it takes a lot of time management and stuff. So how does that work for you? And do you have any tips for the audience about how they can manage life outside of content creation?
I don't like sleep. So like everybody needs sleep. Obviously you have to have it, but if you think about it, you're just laying there doing a whole lot of nothing. It's just a big waste of time. So if you didn't need it, I would never do it. But yeah, I am the best sleeper. Like I could go lay down and be asleep within 2 minutes and sleep for a full 6-8 hours, whatever. But I hate doing it. I hate it. So I don't sleep a ton. Like my normal time, I'll go to bed. It was like 3-4 a.m. Get up at 8 or 9 a.m. to do the work stuff because I have a full-time job, and then all the stream stuff comes after everything else. So it's like the priority is like the family, the work to support the family, and then anything gaming and stream related is like kind of last in line. So anyone who is already doing the family stuff they know as well as anyone else that has that same commitment that it's hard to find the time to do it. If you're if you are a content creator, you want to be, and you're thinking about doing the whole relationship and family thing, like it's gonna be hard. So good luck, kind of a thing. You just gotta have a good balance for it, though. You just kind of set your guide rails. If you are passionate about the content creation and you let it take control, you're going to neglect other parts of your life, and that could be bad. Like if you're still working a full-time job and you're missing work because you want to do a video or something, obviously like you got to prioritize the right way. So it's just a matter of figuring out how much you can do and prioritizing it correctly. Otherwise you get lost in things, and that's how people get in trouble with stuff. I've seen a lot of I've had a lot of friends that have had relationships suffer because they choose the wrong priorities. I've had people lose their jobs because they choose the wrong priority, and sometimes they're okay with it, and sometimes it leads them down a bad road. So you got to be really, really careful about it. Really just think of what's the most important to you and go after it.
Man, I dig that. And that is probably the hardest part of managing both those things too, like your content creation on top of everything else, is just learning how to prioritize those things, right? Or I mean, maybe I should rephrase that, because for a lot of people it's intuitive, like you said, family, friend, like all of that comes before your content creation. But for somebody that is trying to figure out how to prioritize those things, that can definitely be a struggle. For sure.
And content creation, like if you want to really do well with it and make it a full-time thing and do it professionally, it's a huge commitment. It's very difficult. It takes a lot of skill and a lot of time commitment. And you got to be everywhere. Like you got to be on top of trends. You got to be on top of technologies. You got to know what's the best kind of content for all of these different places. Because if you're on Twitch, everyone probably knows by now the discoverability on Twitch is pretty crap. Mm-hmm. So you gotta go everywhere else. You gotta make content on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and all of these different places. And you gotta know, well, what kind of content works on each one of those platforms and how do I create it? And you gotta learn how to make it efficient. So you make some content on Twitch, you gotta figure out how to distribute it to all of these different places, and you gotta have all these strategies. And learning that as well as putting it into effect is so time consuming. For every hour of content that you make, you're spending 6 hours of work doing something, whether it's putting the content together or planning for it or networking with your community and, all those things.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I actually have a follow-up question that kind of pertains to that too, because this is something that I've just wound up talking to each of our guests about, and that's this whole concept of burnout. That's something that a lot of content creators deal with, and a lot of people just kind of deal with in daily life too, with anything. Is that something that you've ever experienced, and how do you manage those feelings in your own content creation when it comes to burnout?
Yes and no for me. I do things a little bit differently than I would recommend other people doing it because one, I don't do it professionally. I don't do it to make a living. I don't live off of it. So the way that I approach it is a lot different than I would recommend someone approach it if they had to do it to survive. So the burnout for me is not really there a whole lot because for the most part, I'm making content around the games I love playing, and I love playing games that I love playing, and I'm gonna keep playing those. And whether they do well on stream or not, I keep doing it. So, for example, I've been playing a ton of Apex Legends, ton of it. I love that game. It's so much fun for me, and I've got other friends that are getting into it as well. It doesn't do well on stream. It just doesn't. I am not like a top ranked player, so it doesn't bring in a whole lot of new viewers. Not a lot of people in the community enjoy watching it. So it's just something that doesn't do very well on stream. And that makes it so that I will either play it and not stream it or stream something that I don't really want to be playing a whole lot. Like I could stream, say, Borderlands 3. And if I'm not really wanting to play Borderlands 3, it's very apparent in the content. Everyone who's watching can tell that I'm just kind of like itching to go do something else with my time. And then as soon as something minor happens, like if a game crash happens or you don't get the drop that you want for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or something, and you're like, well, I guess I gotta go play a different game now. You just want to like you jump out of it. You want to hit that escape hatch somehow. So it all depends on that. And so you got to do what you love doing. Find the passion, find something that you love, and then keep doing that. And as long as you do that, you're probably not going to burn out a whole lot. But there's balance in all things. If you are just grinding and grinding and grinding because you want to make it on Twitch and you're putting out, you're streaming 12 hours a day because you're hoping that doing that and always being live is the key to being discovered, like maybe that will work for you, but for the most part, you're probably working harder than you are smarter, and you're going to burn yourself out doing it. Just make sure that you're doing what you love doing, and then 12 hours will go by with nothing, no problem at all.
I like what you said there too about working like smarter, not harder, right? Just like finding your passion, work smart, like don't kill yourself trying to make this thing work. Because like you said too, like it is, discoverability on Twitch it's rare. It's very rare, and it is very not easy at all.
It's really not. It's really it's not there. Like you can go look at front page right now, and there's a very specific demographic of people that are on the front page, and usually it's the already successful streamers, and it's a lot of games have this mechanic called a win more mechanic. You played Hearthstone, so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes,
there were cards that we're literally only there just to win more. If you're already winning, you play it, you win more, and close the game out faster. Otherwise, it doesn't help you catch up. It doesn't, whatever. There's a lot of games that have a win more mechanic. And honestly, the discoverability on Twitch is pretty much a win more. If you are already bringing in viewers, you're going to be at the top of the directory. That's how people are going to find you. Not many people will scroll down 5-10 pages just to find a random streamer who they don't know anything about. They have a title that maybe they read, maybe they don't. It's very, very difficult.
What would you say then, like if somebody came and asked you for advice on how to get discovered is probably the wrong word, but how to continue to grow in a more natural way other than, grinding their butt off for hours and hours and hours a day or playing the trends, like what would be your biggest piece of advice to somebody who is looking to grow? Maybe a resource that or have used yourself in the past. What would you say to them?
There's three angles or three things I would recommend that people do. One is find your tribe, see what kind of content you like to consume, find those areas on Twitch that you want to be a part of, and just make friends, make like go and communicate and be a part of a community, learn how a successful community works, and then you can learn how to create your own community, kind of a thing. So that would be number one. Number two is always do what you love. Don't just play a game because it's got a ton of views. Don't try to chase the trends. Do what you love. The more fun you have, the more entertaining you can be, and that's what you're there for. You're there to be entertaining. Um, the last one is you have to diversify. You have to create content on all these different avenues. So if you want to be successful, you want to grow a community, you want to grow an audience, you got to be in a lot of different places. You got to go live on Twitch. You got to stream for however long you want to stream for or can stream for. You got to take the best moments, and you got to create YouTube videos out of it, YouTube shorts. You got to create TikTok videos, Instagram footage, every other thing that's going on. You got to strategize and learn all these different contents. You have to be the community manager of your own world in every universe that it applies to.
That's great advice. I love that. I've never heard it explained as being the community manager of your life, basically. But like that is an awesome way to describe that. I absolutely adore that. Beautiful.
It's very difficult. You got to work hard. It's super tough.
It's definitely not an easy job. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But it's awesome because you get to meet some amazing people and be a part of some amazing communities, and just it's kind of a beautiful thing when it all clicks together. That's for sure. That is for sure. Well, Karma, thank you so much for joining with us tonight. It's really been a delight to get to talk to you and learn about you and learn from you. Now is the time of the show that I like to call the shameless plug portion. So please, where can our audience go to find more about you and to support your content?
Let's see. Twitch is the place that I am most present. That is going to be twitch.tv/badkarma. Twitter is probably the next best place. It's twitter.com/@badkarmalucky. And then pretty much every other avenue is going to be under Bad Karma Lucky, because the username Bad Karma is always taken everywhere, which is super lame. But when I can, like I don't follow my own advice because I don't do it full time for a living. But I will, put out some YouTube content once in a while, YouTube Shorts and TikTok and whatnot. And you can find me at those places, Bad Karma Lucky as well.
Awesome. Well, make sure everybody goes and checks those out. I will have links in the description of this video and as well in the audio format for you guys to check out. But it's about that time, everybody. It is all the time we have in the confessional this evening, so it is time for us to close the curtain on the booth for now. I want to thank our guest, Karma, again for talking with us, and thank each and every one of you for being with us here today if you were here live. If you have questions, a guest suggestion, or you had a question that didn't get answered, make sure that you go ahead and leave a comment on this video if you're joining us on YouTube, or if you're joining us in a audio format from your favorite podcasting site. Make sure that you leave a review. We would absolutely love to hear from you. And don't forget, too, the Confessional now has its own Patreon. So if you would like a chance to go and support the Confessional, make sure you do that at patreon.com/thetempleconfessional. But Karma, thank you again so much for joining us tonight, man. It really has been a pleasure to get to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a lot of fun. Anytime you need a fill-in or just want to hang out, just let me know.
Sounds great, man. Sounds great. Well, thank you again, and thank you, everybody. Remember, be excellent to each other, and I will see you next time. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.